The captain of that ship is going to get quite a shock when those three arrive on his bridge, and I suspect he'll also find it impossible to refuse them. The ship clearly carries some extremely unusual technology, and we'll have to see if it's capable of healing the damage that's been done up at the pole. But I know, without a doubt, that if it can, then it will. Ladies, no pressure. What I want to know is who exactly is on the ground up there already, driving this disaster. Whether it's ZTS Universal that's behind the thing is kind of irrelevant at this point. What matters now is who they contracted to start the ball rolling, to initiate that disruption, to push the atmospheric breakdown process to catastrophic proportions. Before that ship or anyone else can do anything to repair the damage, first they'll need to shut down the source of the problem.
We have no choice but to wait and see, Jessica. And speaking of Universal, our Ellen Ngolo is connecting again from Universal Hollow Studios with some apparently new and interesting developments. Ellen, what have you found?
Vlad, the emergency crews are slowly getting the blaze under control in the studio itself, but as I reported earlier, most of the key personnel who are part of this movie were in that studio, and I cannot imagine anyone walking away from that disaster. However, a key point is that this entire campus is riddled with active cameras, and I am sure the whole situation here has been recorded in mind-numbing holographic resolution. Who knows what those recording systems will reveal when they are examined.
Ellen, there is something you may not know. We have had contact from Carmen Electra, which indicates that those missing movie cast and crew members, all the key personnel, were offloaded onto the strange ship she is now aboard. I suspect they are all alive and well, and that the inferno you witnessed was meant for effect only.
Interesting. Then you will be pleased to know that I have more to report than just an update on the destruction of the main studio. I was inspecting the protected parts of the building, those now clearly safe from the fire, and came across a very scared and confused individual cowering in the back of a toilet stall. It has been very difficult to convince him to say anything, as he has truly been traumatized by this most recent in the string of disasters surrounding the current production. But I have been able to learn this much. He is the screenwriter for the movie.
Ellen, what has he told you about the plot for that movie they were making? I mean, after the thinning of the air and all the other things we are experiencing right now, what is the script? And maybe more important, who wrote the story? Was it him?
Not much from him about that so far, Vlad, but he certainly looks crazed enough to have been responsible for the subversion storyline, though I cannot see him having played any role in creating the reality that came to pass. Wait, he's... Vlad, I'm putting him on the air.
My name is Francesco Corelli, and I wrote it. All of it. Subversion. The disasters, the horror, all in my head. I can't get rid of it. For years I've seen the visions. All that was to come. Writing it down was the only way I could live with it.
Francesco, what is coming next? You say you've seen it. What happens to the world in your visions?
Worlds collide. The gods descend on pillars of fire. And then it all goes out. All goes out.
Francesco? Vlad, he has lost consciousness. I will get him to medical help. But I can't say his words give me any comfort. If he says anything more, I'll get back to you.
Thank you, Ellen. We will ponder the meaning of what he says. And if he really did write that story, that prescient story, hope that my first interpretation of what he predicts next is entirely wrong.
And we also hope, Alan, that you can get further clarification from Mr. Corelli. It would certainly appear that he's the gift of foresight, and we need any information on what's in our future that we can get. Alison, we've been able to reach our reporter Jean Chokrack from somewhere in the vicinity of North Terminus. Jean, it's been a harrowing time for you up there. Can you tell us how things stand now that Melanie has swept through your area?
Jessica, those of us who made it out of our subway car refuge, along with many others who were wise enough to stay hidden in their own cars, are all making our way slowly north from these tunnels in the direction of the north terminus. We'll be forever indebted to Melanie for taking down those maniacs who forced their way into our own car. Yes, she knocked all of us out as well with that stun blast, and we had a few minor injuries as a result, but it was also clear they were prepared to use their weapons on us and use us as hostages to protect themselves if necessary. A few bruises, cuts, and scrapes are a small price to pay for escaping with our lives.
Glad to hear you and your fellow passengers came through so well after your little encounter with those mercenaries. We don't have full information on who they actually are, or what their official mission guidelines were, but from what Melanie saw at the Lifestyle Center, and from what you observed down in the tunnels, they clearly had not been restricted with respect to the safety of citizens. You should know that Melanie pursued them up into the skies, and is now on board the craft that picked them all up from your area. At least, those who survived.
Glad to have Melanie on our side, Jessica. She did not kill those mercenaries who were in our car, but she trussed them up so tight they're sure to be feeling rope burns for the rest of their lives. And they'll certainly still be there, waiting in the dark, when the SSF finally get around to clearing out the tunnels.
So you still have no lights or power down there in the tunnels. Are you watching out for live rails, just in case that power comes back to the trains before the lights come on?
Our own group are sticking very strictly to the walls, Jessica, but I know there are many others who are not being so careful. And most people have some form of light through their embedded comm. We are not entirely in the dark, and are on the alert in case any of these trains suddenly wakes. I suspect we're not far now from the platform, and once we're there, I guess we'll face the next challenge, helping deal with the disaster at the North Terminus Lifestyle Center.
Are you and your fellow passengers feeling up to doing that, Jean? Wouldn't it be better just to find a relatively quiet spot and stay out of the way of the authorities while they deal with this?
You heard what Melanie said, the last live broadcast I was able to catch before I had to completely focus on other things. The authorities up there are overwhelmed, and they're going to need all the help we can give them. In this group of refugee passengers, we happen to have 2 nurses and a doctor, plus several of us with considerable first aid experience. We intend to do our part.
Then we wish you all luck in helping bring some level of order back to the center, Jean. Keep us posted.
We will give you an update as soon as we can, Jessica. In the meantime, you and the rest of my WRAT family, keep doing what you're doing. And give Melanie our thanks.
That we most certainly will do, Jean. Glad to know you'll be bringing much needed assistance.
Jessica, seems I spoke too soon. Those trains you were worried about just got their power back, and they've started moving.
Feeling a disconnect between the unforgiving world around you and your place in it? Looking for a stronger sense of belonging and meaning? Miracle Mission can provide the renewal and restoration of your mind, your spirit, and your soul that you crave. Our immersive, uplifting sessions will place you on a level of consciousness you have never before experienced, and leave you with lifelong connections and refocusing skills that will fill the empty space in your life. The Miracle Mission is one of Global Transformation Ministry's many initiatives aimed at restoring and reintegrating the spirit of our global family. Find out more about Miracle Mission at the GTM Holo site. Your world will never be the same.
Located in our hidden warrens far beneath the city, WRAT's squad of intrepid reporters infest the city, unseen and unlooked for. Combined with the magic of video, we are the eyes and ears of this metropolis. And we're here 24/365 for you. It's 10:30 in Suriston. I'm Alison Forsyth. We at WRAT are continuing to try and bring you a perspective on what's really happening in this dark and terrifying hour, both in Suriston and around the world. For the most recent update on what the weather patterns are doing out there, we turn to our evening meteorologist, David Burrell. David, what's the latest?
Alison, I am sorry to have to report that, as we anticipated, the weather events that began to trouble the world earlier this evening have now spread to nearly every part of the globe. And in most areas, have made the outside environment absolutely deadly to most forms of life. This means not only the demise of those people caught in an unprotected area and unable to find shelter with a controlled climatic environment, but also severe trauma for the majority of species of animals and birds, as well as many forms of plant life. Between extreme temperatures, raging windstorms, damaging precipitation, and uncontrolled electrical activity, there is truly now very little hope for anything unprotected.
I know this is not exactly your area of expertise, David, but for the animals out there, if they've managed to find some protection from the winds and the rain or the snow, what about the air, David? Is there still enough breathable air to sustain them, at least for a while, until something can be done to restabilize things?
The air pressure and oxygen concentrations are still fluctuating wildly at ground level, Allison. I would have to say that, all other factors aside, the thin air alone is an extreme challenge to the survival of any oxygen-breathing life. But as we have seen, as long as there are still some moments of breathable air and a sufficient number of these, life will find a way. And we have no true estimate of how long it will be before these are no longer just pockets of thin air, but a sustained high atmospheric oxygen-depleted mix.
2 hours or less was the last estimate we had, David. And from what you're telling us, 2 hours might truly be an outside limit. All the time Carmen and her team have to perform some miracle at the pole.
A tall order, even for Carmen, Allison. But if we are to retain any semblance of the planet we knew, I believe our only hope.
And I'm Jessica Henderson. For those of us still inside controlled environments, I know this survival time frame can be extended significantly, as long as the elements are kept at bay and we're able to retain both power and air conditioning processing systems. But what kind of a world would we have without animal and plant life? They're a symbiotic part of the global ecosystem, and without them, even if we can restore the atmospheric balance, the human species will likely not be able to persevere.
I am Vladimir Chenikov. These global events certainly put into perspective the accomplishments of our sporting teams in Surston tonight, but it is almost as if on such a potentially cataclysmic night, it is fitting that unheard of and earth-shattering competitions have taken place at the Underworld Heap and just recently finished at the Warren. Tasha Mayfield has a perspective on the appropriateness of such dazzling displays of athleticism on what is sure to be, one way or another, a prophetic evening. Tasha?
Vlad, I only know that throughout human history, sports have been a significant part of the glue that's kept societies together, rallied entire nations, and diverted self-destructive energy into more positive, meaningful enterprise. All this and entertainment, often on an electrifying scale. And tonight, I would suggest that we have seen in our sporting venues the very pinnacle of sporting performance, both in the live fire arena and on the speedball pitch. As you say, possibly fitting, given the nature of what our world as a whole is facing. A farewell performance, if you will, of the highest order. Thank you to all those teams, both here in Surston and across the globe, for your efforts on this very unique night in the storied history of our planet. And to let one of our own superstars of the evening express this in her own words, we have Lena Lightning Smith on the line from the Warren. Lena! Flash, it is difficult here at the Warren to truly grasp the gravity of our circumstance, at least this soon after a game like we just witnessed. But I have little doubt that Odious Invaders captain Socket had that somewhere in her thoughts throughout the frenzied performance she put on here tonight. Socket, it was mind-blowing, and I'm sure you and your team and everyone else who witnessed it knows it.
It felt almost like we were fueled by some invisible force tonight, Lena. Something we did not bring to the game, but that fired us all into playing like it was our last match ever. Which possibly it was. But the way I feel now, and I'm sure my teammates will agree, it does not seem possible that this could be the last night for our planet. I had this vision when I was playing, bright shining stars lighting up the night, and a wall of flame between me and the enemy goal. I blasted through it, scored, and that's when my game changed. All the others with me. Kind of like this performance was in the stars, and there was nothing that Triple S could do about it.
You're saying you had some kind of divine inspiration in that performance tonight, Socket? and that this vision you had before the entire Tail Thrasher squad completely mesmerized both your opponents and the audience? It was part of that inspiration?
Something like that. Except I still feel that drive, that energy right now, even after the game's over. So I'm not just imagining it, like I pulled this from somewhere else, and that other place kind of fueling me, keeping me going. I don't exactly know what it's about, Lena, but don't give up hope on us finding a way to haul our planet out of this mess. If tonight's match and the way we played told me anything, it's that.
And Tasha, I'd advise you and everyone else over there to take heed, because Socket means business and she is not a woman to be trifled with, ever. This is Lena Lightning Smith with the inspired captain of our miraculous Odious Invaders, Socket, saying good night and good luck from the Warren. I don't know if anyone can follow that, but it certainly gives me hope to hear such buoyant words on this very unpredictable night. This is Tasha Flash Mayfield for WRAT Sports. See you all tomorrow night.
And such positivity can only help our state of mind in this demanding moment when our survival truly hangs in the balance. Thanks to Tasha and her team for this visionary report.
Yes, Vlad, an inspiring example for us all, and one that sets the stage for our conversation with three other very determined, highly creative women from our WRAT team who are at the very heart of our possible path through this crisis. Carmen Electra is connecting with us from somewhere up in the skies, and she brings us a live transcription of a critical dialogue between her team and the captain of the ship they are traveling on towards what we hope is the nexus of the atmospheric disruption. Carmen? I will see the captain now, or you can take it up with my security chief.
Your pass does not authorize bridge access, and any further...
Ensign, you see those codes flashing across your display?
Sir.
And you recognize what they mean, correct?
Yes, sir.
Then what is the problem? That door will be open in the next 5 seconds, or I will personally ensure you never progress beyond your current rank.
Coding in now, sir.
We are on the bridge, and the captain is poring over some kind of chart. I believe we have come at a very good time to divert this craft if needed. Here goes. Sir, I have important information to relay about the status of the North Pole situation. May I take a moment of your time?
Who authorized your bridge access? Only senior scientific staff are permitted here during a mission.
I authorized it, Captain, and I'd suggest you skip the protocol and listen, or this will be one very short and very terminal conversation.
Are you threatening me, Lieutenant?
Commander, arrest!
We can do this the easy way or the hard way, but my patience is wearing very thin, and you're pissing me off more every second. So what's it going to be?
What do you want?
My apologies for our rather direct approach, sir, but there is simply no time to manage this any other way. We have new information on the reasons that our strategy at the pole has become impractical. Restabilization is not simply a matter of picking up the crew on site and terminating their activities.
Supposing you are correct, we'll be arriving over the target location in a little less than 10 minutes. What additional action could we take at this point?
How familiar are you with the details of what gives this ship its unique stealth capabilities?
You're the science officer. You tell me.
Sir, if he has not been briefed fully on the physics, we're not meant to... I am aware of that, Ensign. Nevertheless, it is the key to our escape in this situation, and...
I am fully aware of the capabilities of this craft, Lieutenant, and the basic principles behind them. But what does that have to do with our mission at the pole? We're under direct orders. There's no room for deviation from that assigned task. Even if we wish to, our current phase state makes it impossible to communicate with Command HQ. We do what we were assigned, and no more.
Even if that would leave the world as we know it to essentially self-destruct.
What are you suggesting?
When the ship shifts between phases, there is a massive change in energy patterns on both sides of the shift.
I understand. We momentarily create a bridge connection between the two sides.
So we need to open that bridge over the pole side and leave it open.
That's impossible. The transition's automatic. It can't be... And what kind of devastation would it cause on this side, as well as the other?
It has to be done, Captain. Just picking up that crew and shutting down their work will not stop what's begun. We need to take drastic action, and do it now. Or there may be no Command HQ, no anything else to go back to. With respect, sir, we can't be sure that we're sure that if we do nothing, we may as well stay where we are, because the group at the pole have done their work almost too well. The planet is already at the breaking point. Even another hour might finish it for good.
On what basis? Have you any concrete models on this? Why have I not been notified before? I could have developed a strategy. I have no real idea if it can even be done. And the crew on the ground, what's to become of them if we manage to pull this off?
I would not put their chances very high, Captain. But it is my opinion that the developments which created our current crisis have probably already taken care of that. Were we simply to arrive at the target site, we would likely be caught in a flow of circulating air sufficient to destroy even this craft. Do you want to put that to the test?
Your models actually predict this? I've had no hint of a likely damaging transition from either the instruments or your superiors.
To put it bluntly, they are both out of their depth, Captain. I'm reporting on the only modeling and predictive results that matter. Can you do this or not?
I would like to run this through our analysis tools and work out a way to hold open the link. Phasing's never been prolonged in any experiment I'm aware of, so I'll consult with the senior science personnel and...
Were you not listening? Your senior staff are entirely unaware of the extent of their ignorance, and I know exactly what they will do. Ask for a few days of study, then report that they cannot tell you whether it's possible to prolong phasing transfer, nor what the effects would be if you could. So, now I ask you again, Captain, as one who does know. We need at least 30 seconds of phase tunneling. Can you do this?
Asphodel, can sustained phasing be maintained beyond the normal transfer? Can the transition be slowed to last 30 seconds?
Multiphasic stabilization will be threatened by such...
Can the available control system on this ship accomplish such an effect?
Timing cannot be predicted exactly. Destabilizing energy flow between phases will significantly alter calculated...
Is that a yes?
Yes, Captain. The phase transition may be prolonged through a combination of...
Asphodel, you're hereby ordered to extend our phase transition over the polar site upon arrival at our destination. Calculate approximate parameters for a 30-second phasing delay, and execute upon my command. Understood?
Orders received, Captain. Calculations already completed. Arrival at scheduled transition point in 30 seconds. Will await your command.
Captain, you have made the right choice. The only choice, as it happens. Now, I suggest you alert your ship. This may be a little rough.
This is the captain. Emergency maneuvers in less than 30 seconds. All hands find a secure position and brace yourselves for impact. Now.
Captain, we are now in position at the transition location.
Asphodel, execute extended transition.
Shit.